Hello everyone. Good afternoon Coach Jude. Good afternoon classmates. I'm Marlene Sumailo and my role in this video presentation is to give the overall introduction. So today, we are presenting the factors affecting the child development and factors affecting the adolescent development. So for the factors affecting the child development, we are also going to present about the developmental stages and developmental tasks and factors, which are the prenatal factors, cognitive development, language development, social development, moral development, and emotional development. So for the factors affecting the adolescent development, we are also going to present about the adolescent, the high school learner, which are the physical development, cognitive development, language development, social development, emotional development, and moral development. Its background and contribution to the factors affecting the child development and adolescent development. So cheer up, and this will be presented by the Study Hub number 8. Good afternoon Coach Jude. Good afternoon classmates. I'm Marlene Sumailo and I will be presenting about the child prenatal development and adolescence language development. So first, I will be presenting about the prenatal development, also called antenatal development. In humans, the process encompassing the period from the formation of an embryo through the development of a fetus to birth, or what we call parturition. It develops from a single cell produced by the union of a male and a female gamete, or what we call sex cell. This union makes the beginning of the prenatal period, which in humans encompasses 3 distinct stages. First, the pre-embryonic stage, the first 2 weeks of development, which is a period of cell division and initial differentiation, or what we call cell maturation. Second is the embryonic period, or period of organogenesis, which lasts from the 3rd to the 8th week of development. Third is the fetal period, which is characterized by the maturation of tissues and organs and rapid growth of the body. The prenatal period ends with parturition and is followed by a long postnatal period. So that's all for prenatal development of child. So let's move on for the language development in adolescence. So language development during adolescence includes increased sophistication in the use of words. Development of abstract thinking goes along with analyzing the function a word plays in a sentence. So, the metaphor and satire is included in this language development. Metaphor is an implied comparison between unlike things, while satire is the use of irony, derision, or wit to expose folly of wickedness. Children and young adults in the middle and secondary school years are expected to use advanced language skills. Students with typically developing advanced language skills are able to use complex sentences in both their oral statements and written language. Students at this level are also able to produce written stories that follow story grammar rules and regularly make correct inferences from written text. So that's all for my presentation in language development of adolescents. Thank you for listening.
Cognitive development. Cognitive development is influenced by how a child approaches learning as well as his or her biological makeup and the environment. A child's background, knowledge, or knowledge base also affects the way a child thinks. This background knowledge influences the child's information processing, memory, classification, problem solving, language acquisition, and reading and mathematics learning. What and how children learn often varies considerable from culture to culture. The physical environment of the home, child care center or classroom, and the kind of interaction children have with adults and adult children influence the way children approach learning and other aspects of their cognitive development. Play is important for learning. Researchers have found many connections between cognitive competence and play, particularly high-quality dramatic play. Cognitive development includes a wide variety of new skills and ways for children to look at the world around them. Families, caregivers, and teachers should be watching for how children interact with the world around them, dealing with frustration and new information, how they attend and persist to tasks, how they solve problems, and how they develop skill which will lead to later knowledge in the areas of literacy and numeracy. Physical development, the high school learner. Physical change of puberty marked the onset of adolescence learning in Steinberg 2009 for both boys and girls. These changes include a growth spurt in height, growth of pubic and underarm hair, and skin change. For boys, also experience growth in facial hair and defining of their voice. Girls experience breast development and begin menstruating. This pubertal change and driven by hormones, particularly an increase in testosterone for boys and estrogen for girls. The physical change that occur during adolescence are greater than those of any other time of life, with the exception of infancy. In some ways, however, the change in adolescence are more dramatic than those that occur in infancy. Unlike infants, adolescents are aware of change that are taking place and of what the change mean. In this section, you will learn about the pubertal change in body size, proportions, and sexual maturity, the social and emotional attitudes and reaction toward puberty, and some of the health concerns during adolescence include eating disorders. Hormonal change. Puberty involves distinctive physiological change in an individual height, weight, body composition, and circulatory and respiratory system. And during this time, both the adrenal glands and sex glands matured. These changes are largely influenced by hormonal activity. Many hormones contribute to the beginning of puberty, but most notably a major rush of estrogen for girls and testosterone for boys. Hormones play an organizational role, framing the body to behave in a certain way once puberty begins, and an activational role, trigger center behavioral and physical change. During puberty, the adolescent's hormonal balance shifts strongly toward adult stage. The process is triggered by the pituitary glands, which secretes a surge of hormonal agents into the bloodstream and initiates a chain reaction. Puberty occurs over two distinct phases, and the first phase, adrenarche, begin at 6 to 8 years of age and involves increased production of adrenal androgens that contributes to a number of pubertal changes, such as skeletal growth. The second phase of puberty, gonadarche, begins several years later and involves increased production of hormones governing physical and sexual maturation. During puberty, primary and secondary sex characteristics develop and mature. Primary sex characteristics are organ specifically needed for reproduction, the uterus and ovaries in female and testes in males. Secondary sex characteristics are physical signs of sexual maturation that do not directly involve sex organs, such as development of breasts and hips in girls, and development of facial hair and deepening voice in boys. Both sexes experience development of pubic and underarm hair, as well as increased development of sweat glands. The male and female gonads are activated by the surge of the hormones discussed earlier, which puts them in states of rapid growth and development. The testes primarily release testosterone and the ovaries release estrogen. The production of these hormones increase gradually until sexual maturation is met. For girls, observable change begin with nipple growth and pubic hair. Then the body increases in height while fat form, particularly on the breasts and hips. The first menstrual period is followed by more growth, which is usually completed by 4 years, and the first menstrual period began. Girls experience menarche usually around 12 to 13 years old. For boys, the usual sequence is growth of the testes, initial pubic hair growth, growth of the penis, first ejaculation of semen fluid, appearance of facial hair and peak growth spurt deepening of the boys, and final pubic hair growth. Boys experience spermache, the first ejaculation around 13-14 years old.
So, good morning everyone. As a student or as teacher. So before I start, let me introduce myself. My name is RPB Aranda. I'm the BTVID Felix 1I and as a little teacher. So, a pleasant to each or everyone, especially to Coach Jude, a pleasant day. Now, discuss about the topics or the learning out. So, we'll discuss the different factors affecting child development and also the factors affecting the adolescent development. So, we discuss about the first one are the different factors affecting child development. So, out of different factors affecting child development, the topic are the social development. So, first of all, so we'll discuss or define about the social development. So, social development can define as a changes in social and emotional skills across of lifespans, including childhood, adolescent, and adulthood. So So adolescent usually it fall under of 18 or 25 years old, and while the adulthood is usually fall of 25 years old or onwards. So we know the social development as a student, there are numerous factors that affect in child development, such as peers and the parents. No? According about the 1969 state that attachment is a form of state emotional bonds and that develops from the peers or one person to another. So in that children have innate or hesitate to form attachments with others and help in survival. So in last week, we discussed about the 3 learning principles out of 10 principles. So one of theory or philosopher it discussed about the social development is the Vygotsky. So he discussed about the social development theory. So according to him or according to Vygotsky's social development theory, he applies that theory of the cognitive development that we know as a social development theory. So Vygotsky theory says that fundamental rule of social interaction in the development of cognition. So that's all the first of the different factors affect of child development in social development. So the second one are the factors affecting adolescent development. So out of factors affecting adolescent are the moral development. So we now discuss about the moral development in adolescent. No, according to theory of moral development, adolescents are the perceived like a teenager, like me as a teenager or adolescent, to be immoral and always going while never following rules around them. So there are many reasons for why the perception is created. So many of which started because of adolescents have not full developed but are the process of developing. So in the moral concept in the development of parents, moral development, according to them, the moral development it focuses on the emergence or the change in understanding of morality from infancy to adulthood. In the field of moral development, immorality is defined as principles for how individuals on or treat one another with respect to justice or other welfare and rights. So according to Carl Birch, he asserted that moral development or adolescent are the moral philosopher whose ability to formulate their own moral decisions or develop with experiences. So furthermore, moral development theory is a widely accepted theory that presented by Lawrence Goldberg. According to Goldberg's moral development theory focuses that understanding of motivation and humans thinking and behavior change as a childhood to the adulthood. So that's all my video presentation. So about the factors affecting child development in social development, and the second are the factors affecting adolescent development of the moral development in the high school's learning.
Good day, guys. My name is Christine Jean Malibong, and I will be discussing about emotional development. So, emotional development refers to the ability to recognize, express, and to manage feelings at different stages of life, and to have empathy for the feelings of others. Students at this age attempting to realize their place in society and how to proceed with their futures. It is also during these times that they learn to self-regulate their emotions, and as time passes, become more aware of their sense as well as the needs and feelings of others. The high school year provides ample mentation. Students are able to determine preferences and reaffirm or even forge entirely new views on various topics. High schools also provides young people with the opportunity to form bonds such as friendships and romantic ties.
Hello to each and everyone. My name is Merenda Joy R. Inut, and in this video, I will going to report about the cognitive development. What is cognitive development? Cognitive development means how children think, explore, and figure things out. It is the development of knowledge, skills, problem solving, and dispositions, which help children to think about and understand the world around them. Brain development is part of cognitive development. As a parent, it is important to foster your child's cognitive development as soon as he or she is born, because doing so provides the foundation for your child's success in the school and later in life. For example, research shows that children who can distinguish sounds at 6 months of age are better at acquiring the skills for learning to read at 4 and 5 years of age. Conclusion: research into cognitive development has shown us that minds don't just form according to a uniform blueprint or innate intellect, but through a combination of influencing factors. For instance, if we want our kids to have a strong grasp of language, we could concentrate on phonemic awareness early on. If we want to be good at math and science, we could engage them in numerical games and activities early on. Perhaps most importantly, we no longer think of brains as empty vessels waiting to be filled up with knowledge, but as adaptable organs that develop all the way through early adulthood. That's all.
Emotional development. Emotional development refers to the ability to recognize, express, and manage feelings at different stages of life, and to have empathy for the feelings of others. The development of these emotions, which include positive and negative emotions, is largely affected by relationships with parents, siblings, and peers. Number 1. Maturation. In children, maturation means going through their development stages. It is them being able to do tasks and things they could not do previously. There is mental, physical, emotional, somatic growth and development in the child. Some of the changes are even genetic in mature. Number 2. Learning. Learning involves much more than schooling. It is also concerned with building the child up mentally, intellectually, emotionally, and socially, so they operate the healthy functional individuals in the society. This is where the development of the mind takes place and the child can gain some maturity. Reinforcement is a component of learning where an activity or exercise is repeated and refined to solidify the lessons learned. An example is playing a musical instrument. They get better at playing it as they practice playing the instrument. Therefore, any lesson that is taught has to be repeated until the right results are obtained. Number 3. Physical condition. Physical development is one of the many domains of infant and toddler development. It relates to the growth and skill development of the body, including the brain, muscles, and senses. For examples, babies learn about the world as they develop their physical senses of sight, touch, smell, sound, and taste. Number 4. Environment. The environment plays a critical role in the development of children, and it represents the sum total of physical and psychological stimulation the child receives. Some of the environmental factors influencing early childhood development.
Good afternoon to each and everyone. I'm Marlene Sumailo, and I've been tasked to do the conclusion for this presentation. So to start with, and how children grow and develop depend on both internal and external environmental factors, which are the prenatal factors, cognitive development, language development, social development, moral development, and emotional development. The child development and adolescent development are having the same factors except for the prenatal and physical. The prenatal is included in child development, while the physical is included in adolescent development. So some of these factors are which we have no control over. Having good understanding of what children need at each stage of their development helps us raise them better. Nature and nurture both contribute to the development of children. Although what's endowed by nature is constant, nurture tends to make a big difference too. So in child development is influenced by their temperament, or what we call a person's nature. It is present from birth and shows up in the way they behave or react to situations or people. Everyone has a temperament. It's part of our personality. Temperament affects how your child thinks, behaves, and responds to the world around them. It's what makes your child unique. No stage in human development results in such rapid or dramatic change than adolescence. So during adolescence, a child matures into an adult physically. Within a matter of 4 to 5 years, the average child grows nearly a foot taller, assuming adult size, shape, and reproductive status. They also experiencing emotional, psychological, social, and mental change and growth. So that's all for this conclusion, and thank you for listening.